So, guys, I want to ask both of you one more thing. Basically, if you look at from your country, right? If you look at Ajax, basically, like Enrique said, look, domestically, Ajax is such a big club. You either love Ajax or you hate Ajax. The same with America, what you just said. But abroad, if you look at Ajax, I mean, my sense is that there's a high likability of Ajax compared to other teams. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm just wondering, am I hallucinating or is it true? What do you think, Mike?
I agree with you because it's obvious that like we see the rivalry more from our domestic perspective always, and it's always something hard to understand from abroad. And when I'm talking about how much I can hate Marseille, when I'm talking about PSG to my family or to my Italian friends, they have a hard time understanding. And the other way around, whenever I'm talking about how much I can hate Juventus, the only way that people can get rivalry, it's within the same city. You take the derby in Milan, the derby in Torino, the derby in Rome, and we don't have that much. We don't have that in France at all. Um, and the only rivalry that which is like it's not even the same cities like Saint-Etienne, Paris, Marseille. But the thing is, this is like I believe that it's a hard feeling to understand from outside in any case. But then, as you said, I mean, Ajax has been for what I from my angle, I would say that it's seen as a club of gentlemen with always talented players. And actually, Enrique mentioned it before. Johan Cruyff, I believe that he's the best ambassador you guys I ever had. I believe that Van Basten was something else because I'm influenced by his career in Italy, obviously saying this. But Cruyff was synonym of elegance as well. And I think it changed the game from who he was as a soccer player, but as well like from the attitude, from the way that he was like handling the ball, the way that he was like behaving on the pitch. And I believe that like the true soccer fans, the true football fans, they appreciate that as well. That the fact that there's a way of behaving when you're part of Ajax. So yeah, I would say this, like, and I think that it's hard to get and to understand a rivalry when you're not feeling it from the domestic perspective.
Yeah, but that's why you also think outside, so outside the Netherlands in our case, that the likability of Ajax is that much more because of influences like Van Basten, Cruyff, and those kind of things. It sits on people's minds, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think that I kind of answered like that question before, that the tradition, the capacity of raising young players, and not only raising them from a football perspective, but as well like as a human being perspective.
True.
And you can tell that they're paying a lot of attention on the fact that okay, you need to be as best as possible in the soccer universe, but you need to be a man. You need to be like a gentleman as well. And you can tell by the league. The league to me is like it's the modern interpretation of this, because he's of course like he's a defender, so like he needs to be tough and needs to go hard on the attackers, which is part of the game. But he's never discorrect. He's never like we can do in Italy, to be honest. And sometimes we can go like beyond the limits of it. And I have the feeling that whenever like you growing up with that mentality, you respect like a certain type of behavior. And yes, like the likability of Ajax is definitely because of this. Is because of like the tradition that they've been able um, um, to establish years after year. And especially like to me, another thing is like Ajax has been true to themselves like forever. And that's why like before I mentioned institution more than a club, because it's a jersey and that's a logo that you have to pay respect for, number one. But then like they have a strategy, they have a business plan, which is totally different than like the modern business in football. And that's pretty respectable to be able to do that in 2021 still. They're not seeking for like big shots. They're not going to invest like on crazy money on crazy people. They are like a business model. They they believe in it, and they just like follow this. But actually, that leads me to a question. If you ask me to, if you allow me to ask it,
Of course.
uh, from the outside, we can see as well Ajax like a trampoline for young guys. You know, especially like you take like Suarez, Ibrahimovic, guys coming not necessarily coming from Holland, but whenever they go into Ajax, it's like a guarantee for the next jump. So in a way, isn't it frustrating to know that you have this guy that will come, be successful 3 years, and then he's gonna leave? Because that's what I have a hard time accepting in like the modern football right now, is that is like people are not committed to like a color. They're not committed to a jersey. They're not committed to a passion that a club can, transmit. And I have a feeling that whenever you're an Ajax fan, you are totally conscious of this. You know it. Like you know that you're gonna love this kid for 3 years, and then he's gonna be on to the next one. How do you see it that way? Am I wrong thinking this? And does it feel like to say like, okay, he's here for now, but we know that we just do trampoline for the next move?
It's a very good question, and it's a very tough question also to answer. Look, we always know it always has been the history of Ajax to sell the good players. Even before the Bosman situation, we sold. Actually, Kluivert went on a free agent as a free agent to Milan. I remember, and there were a couple of other players at that time. Italy was the highest league in Europe.
Still.
Still, okay, fine. So listen, no, it hasn't changed. But what has changed is a little bit. There has been some changes at Ajax, and I will tell you what it is. 10 years ago, we didn't have any money. So what will happen is we were very, very dependent on our youth players. And when the youth players came and they played one good season or two good seasons, they were gone because we needed the money. So we would sell with much more urgency. Now, what we have seen in recent years, actually, it started a little bit more with when Ten Hag arrived, maybe a little bit before, but actually more with Ten Hag. First signing of Ten Hag, by the way, was Tagliafico. That just for your information. Yeah. So no, what happened was Ajax always had a ceiling, a salary cap, and this salary cap they broke it. Basically, they said to a lot of players like Ziyech, like Donny, like De Ligt, all these kind of players, they stayed a little bit longer with Ajax than usual, and it's because Ajax was able to give them more salary than before. However, the thing we cannot stop at Ajax is the league where we're playing, and that's the biggest thing that is against us. The Eredivisie is honestly not. I mean, most of the players playing at the Eredivisie are young players. It's not only at Ajax; it's also the other teams. So, in a way, most of the players of Eredivisie are being basically developed because they all need the money to survive. They all need the money to have a business model, because the league in itself is too little. You know, if you make a comparison of revenues that you get compared to the Premier League, for instance, like Ajax gets maybe 10 million, 9 to 10 million in TV revenues this season. If you look at what Manchester United or Manchester City gets, I mean, it's not even comparable. And just to let you know, Ajax has been budgeting recently. All Ajax fans know this, by the way, but for other viewers, we have been budgeting basically on Champions League level. So our budget is based on playing Champions League. Plus, we have to sell 50 million to break even every season because of the fact that Ajax thought, you know what, we have the ambition to at least compete at a higher level to play Champions League. And we're not saying we're going to win the Champions League, but we want to compete at least. We have to break up the salary cap. We have to attract also players from outside. Like we talked about Edson Alvarez, but also Tagliafico, also Martinez. Those are the players we don't educate. They have a different mentality, you know? And putting these mixes, also bringing Tadic back, Blind back, to the team, and also with exceptional talents, now we have a mix that's ideal to compete at European level. But also you need a little bit of luck. But coming back to your question, all Ajax fans know at the end, sooner or later, our best players will be sold, and that's fine. But we want to enjoy at least them being a couple of years with Ajax, and that's what's happening right now, which is much better than what it was before.
We never had that discussion before, and thank you for your answer, because like it confirms something that I always thought, is that maybe Ajax is suffering as well from competition in a way in the national league. So and that's pretty much the same concept as PSG. Like the Qatar has been like investing in PSG like 10 years ago from now. And French league has never been tough, like it's becoming more and more competitive right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that to bring up the level of the Eredivisie, one solution will be to have a fund from abroad investing massively into a club in Holland to just like bring the level up to the next stage, and that way is going to lever up the entire league by the top and not by the bottom?
I don't believe in investing. I will come to you, Enrique. Just to answer Mike really quickly. Personally, this is my personal opinion. I don't think we have. Ajax will not really accept it. I think to be bought up by
not Ajax, or like it could be like anyone else.
No, but even that. I mean, okay. If PSV or Feyenoord or AZ get bought up, or Utrecht or whatever, it's fine. You will get a bit one competitor extra. But as a whole, if you look at the league is just too little, too small. It's not challenging enough. It's not. Honestly, I mean, a lot of players growing up, they want to play for Madrid, they want to play for Barcelona, they want to play for Manchester United. Okay, maybe they want to play for Inter. Some will play for Inter, but no. But you know what I mean. These are the clubs that everybody know about. Everybody wants to play at that stage, and it's fine. I mean, we know our identity. You talked about our identity. Part of our identity is also this, and we've come to peace with it. It's fine. It's okay. But now, the nice thing about it is we do have a chance to compete on the highest level. And that's because of great work of Mark Overmars and Edwin van der Sar. Enrique, sorry, go ahead.
No. I wanted to add that last comment that you just said. We have to talk about the management. I mean, Overmars, Van der Sar, they come way back. I mean, they were Ajax players. They came from that academy, so they know what the whole concept it's all about.
Yeah.
So I believe they're doing a great job. Well, we all had the last year was a really hard situation for all teams, but they've been able to manage the financial factor, also with the players, putting them all in the same level as a team. Ajax has always been they always develop youth players and they let them go, and we know that the Eredivisie, and not only Ajax, most of the players that go to Netherlands, they either go to PSV or Ajax. I mean, but they know that they will stay there for maybe 4 or 5 years, and then they go to play to bigger teams, right?
Look, it depends how good you are. I mean, one of the examples.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, one of the examples, we got Davinson Sanchez from Colombia 1 year, but he was so good that after 1 year, Spurs bought him because he was too good for the Eredivisie. I mean, I have to be honest about that.
And the same thing happens to, for example, the Portuguese league. I mean, like maybe in the same level as the Dutch league, the Portuguese league also brings a lot of players from South America, from other places around, and you know that those players will stay there maybe 4 or 5 years or so, and then take off to other bigger leagues, right? I mean, that's a reality, and that's something that you just said it. You know it's going to happen, and it's going to be like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, go ahead. I just want to answer Enrique, but you go ahead first.
Yeah, I want to answer Enrique as well, and in a way, like just add something, because you're totally right, Enrique, and by the fact that like that comparison with like the Portuguese league totally stands. But you take, I'm coming from in Italy, like from like a small city called Udine, or the Udinese. And Udinese, like the business model is exactly the same. We're going to South America, we're buying 100 of players like for 10 euros, and then out of a sudden, like one of them is going to be like so good that it's going to actually pay back the investment for all the others. And actually, it's just like a way of looking at soccer business. And sad but true in a way. That's the only team together with Atalanta where like they have like a break even in the middle of the season because they're able like to drop like players here and there. And you know, we have like a couple of examples: Amoroso, Birov, Zico back then coming back from Brazil. So a lot of players like unknown from the European scene that actually came through that. So it's part of like their business model. What disturbs me a little bit more with Ajax is that like Ajax is not at the same fame level. You know, it's like something bigger, it's something higher than this. And just by the fact that it's Ajax, players, if from my perspective, they should be attached a little bit more to what that institution represents. From my perspective, and I'm saying this not as a fan. I'm just seeing this like a soccer observer. Atalanta, Inter, Porto, Sporting Lisbona, Benfica. We all know that their goal into the soccer is like to be profitable. I'm buying 100 guys. Out of the 100, 2, 3, they're going to be extremely successful. And who cares about like the 97, 98 others? You know what I'm saying? So I'm fine. But when we're talking about Ajax, to me, there's something that should be a bit, you know, considered a bit more because we're not talking about the same type of institutions. That's one. And I want to jump on what you just said about the management. 100% agree. Because like Overmars, Van der Sar, they're doing like an incredible job. But don't you think that at one point, that's one of the keys? Because look at Inter, bringing back Zanetti to be like the vice president. Now they reestablished like a good relationship. Milan, they took back Maldini. Roma, they took back Totti. PSG, they called back Leonardo. So people that know basically the mechanism of every single club or every single institution, they're actually going to give a reading between the lines of what a situation could be. So don't you think that at one point we're touching something in the football business where somebody as legit as like Overmars, Van der Sar, in their own club, where they grew up, they're more relevant than any fucking body, you know what I'm saying? Because, and I apologize for the wording, but that's what happens, you know what I'm saying? Like they know whatever the fuck is happening right there more than anyone else.
Look,
so
this model basically is something that Cruyff was pushing for from a very long time. And actually, Cruyff was the one that actually pushed forward to Ajax to have a model which is similar to Bayern Munich. Because Bayern Munich has this already for a long time. And you see how successful Bayern Munich is in their business model. So Ajax basically copied, but thanks to Cruyff pushing for that, to have people that have played from Ajax Academy, but have played at a high level. Of course, you have to also have the characteristics, the capabilities to do something like that. Because, like, for instance, I remember Van der Sar said, what Overmars does, I cannot do that. And Overmars said, what Van der Sar does, I cannot do that either. So you have to have a little bit, you have to fit that particular job or skill.
With the difference that like Bayern Munich invests in like big shot players too.
Yeah,
because
no, absolutely. But Bayern Munich does not spend money like the English teams, like Barcelona, like Madrid. They don't do that.
But one thing, I mean, Bayern Munich has the money. They have the cash. They have the cash flow to buy those players.
Correct, but they will never.
Ajax,
But they will never buy a crazy amount for. They will never put a crazy amount for Mbappe, Haaland, Neymar. They will never do that.
We can sell Neymar. I'm fine with it.
Listen, guys, I just wanna finish off by asking you guys, even though just to be clear, also to our viewers, you guys are not Ajax fans, right? But you guys know a lot, and you guys have a lot of respect for Ajax, which I really appreciate. Just one thing, I want basically to end up by you guys stating or telling the viewers your favorite Ajax player at the moment. And I know from Mike can go first. He already mentioned Tagliafico, so I think it's
Tagliafico. Like, there's not like the debate is closed. Tagliafico forever.
All right. Do you have a second one, or it's only Tagliafico?
Tagliafico has a special position in my heart.
Right.
But there's like Alvarez, like he's pretty good, and you have like this young kid, Traore. Can it be?
Traore, who played against Atalanta?
Yeah.
Actually, he's not playing.
What I saw, because I saw the game against Atalanta, what I saw was okay, you know? So, like, it's obviously like a young nugget that needs to grow, etc. But give him time, and that's the beauty of Ajax, is that you guys are giving time to the young kids. And we're suffering from the opposite in Paris, because we have like a youth academy which is pretty talented, but guys, they want to be like, playing with Neymar, with Mbappe, with Di Maria, with Icardi, but they have like, it's only like 11 positions inside, you know what I'm saying? So, and a coach has to make choices, and then they're leaving, and take Rabiot, Mike Mignon, Coman in Bayern Munich. We're losing pieces because we're not capable of mixing the generations together. Yeah. And this is something that you guys in Ajax are extremely talented and extremely skilled on doing. And for me, if I have to like make a synthesis of like what Ajax represents, like the ability and the capacity of mixing generations together to make a squad strong enough to be competitive in all the different competitions they're involved in.
Absolutely. Thank you.
But Tagliafico forever.
Right, that's clear. Thanks. Enrique, your favorite player and also your final thoughts on today's discussion, if you want to add something just to round off.
Sure thing. Well, my favorite player, you know who it is. Lisandro Martinez.
But he's not Mexican. He's not Mexican.
He doesn't have to be Mexican, eh?
Okay. all right. Go ahead. Yeah, okay.
Tagliafico is Italian.
Tagliafico is Italian. Well, he has a nationality, right? Yeah. Well, all Argentinians, I think, have Italian nationality.
99%.
Yeah. Well, Martinez for me. I mean, his position. Every time I play, as an amateur, I have always played defender, and the way he plays, the way he always gives his heart off, to me, he's my favorite player. Second one, Tadic. He's really, really, really good player. I don't know if he's gonna stay there this year.
Absolutely. He has signed a contract. He signed a contract until, for life. So basically, he might even end up in the Ajax staff later.
Okay. Well, Tadic, every time I see him play, he's great, man. He's really, really awesome. He's really good with the ball. He has such a good vision. He knows what ahead. Knows what he's going to do. No. My last thought, it's more a question also.
Okay, go ahead.
If Ajax was playing in another league, the Premier League or the Liga, or the Italian league, do you think they would be at this same level, or would it be harder for them to stay at the top 3 teams in that league?
It's a good question.
Juan, good luck with this one, bro.
No, it's actually I've been thinking about that for a long time as well. Let me come up with something that Cruyff always said. Every advantage has a disadvantage. Every disadvantage has an advantage. So basically, if you don't play in the Premier League, or you play in the Bundesliga or Spain or Italy, the thing is that Ajax has it's a bit the strongest side in the Netherlands, at least together with PSV. Feyenoord traditionally, but not anymore. And AZ is a dark horse lately. But the good thing about this is, because we are playing in such a lesser league, or easier league, if you can say that, we have the privilege, or we have the time to develop young players. If you go to the Premier League, the levels are so close, you cannot, you don't have time. You have to compete, and only the top 4 will go. But there, everybody can win from everyone, basically. You don't have those big gaps that you have here in the Netherlands. And that's my thinking is, because of that, you have more time to adapt or let young players adapt to Ajax, because we are one of the strongest side. I think it will be a bit different if we would play in a better league, because we could still go for the academy, but the reason why we start buying players from outside, why we start buying or getting experienced players back to Ajax, is because we have learned that only youth players will not get you where you want to be, because they are very, volatile. in terms of their performances. So you need a good balance, you know? So
I
that's
don't
my
agree
take
with
on it.
I don't agree with you, Juan. I'm sorry to say.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Because to me, how if you, I mean, I got your point, but would you say that like the youth academy from Barcelona, and Barcelona is well known for that, Real Madrid, um, take like some examples as well in England. I believe like Chelsea has the youngest roster they ever had in the past 10 years, like since Abramovich came up. Italy, it might be another story, but like take the Spain concept, they always came up with young kids, grew up in those teams. Maybe secondary teams like in Italy, like Roma, Lazio, they always have like those young academies which are extremely talented. But then I believe, like to me, it's a problem of like it's a rich problem. Whenever you have the money, you want a big shots.
But do you
And
think? Can I say something, Michael?
yeah, of course, go ahead.
According to what you're saying, if Ajax were playing maybe in the Liga, maybe in the Italian league, do you think they would have bigger cash flow? Do you think they would be richer to buy those players that would like to stay there?
I mean, we kind of like touch it, and I'm speaking on your control point, but yeah, I mean, whatever you're earning from like Serie A, from Liga, from like Liga, like from all Premier League, from like the TV, just the TV makes a big difference, you know. And I
Yeah, of
believe like
course.
yeah, whatever like you gaining in terms of communication changes, and the more you profiting from this, the more benefits you're gonna get as well, like in merchandising, in ticketing, and whatever you want. So in a way, definitely Ajax would be more appealing maybe in a league that has like a larger audience. Look at the Premier League clubs. What I found fascinating about the Premier League nowadays is that anyone could win. Anyone. Like literally, they have like 10 starting clubs that could be champion at the end of the year. Obviously, then like the sportive difference, you see it on the pitch. Like and yeah, like some exceptions, of course, but that's what I find fascinating. Is like everybody's pretty much at the same level. Ajax, obviously, that is kind of like not taking enough advantage of the promotion of the Eredivisie from like a larger audience. That's what I believe. And yes, I mean, I believe that that's sad but true. That like I don't know, smaller scale institutions or smaller scales clubs, they're definitely more profitable from a communication perspective because they're playing a larger league than Eredivisie. So like I believe that yes, there's like a connection one with the other.
Look, I just want to counter you a little bit because we don't agree on this one, but I will tell you why I don't agree with you. Look, let's talk about some teams outside of the Netherlands that are adopting a little bit that youth academy, but there is a big difference. I will talk about Dortmund, for instance. Dortmund has changed a couple of years ago, uh, attracting more younger players, very potential young players. But you see what Dortmund is having, they compete, but they struggle. Like this year, if you look, they've struggled basically to qualify for the Champions League. You see that. If you look at Chelsea, we're talking about Chelsea. It's a bit similar. So, let's be honest. Chelsea now, what they're doing, they haven't done that before, so it's a bit unique situation. But you have to keep in mind that if we talk about Pulisic, or we talk about Werner, or we talk about Ziyech, or we talk about Mason Mount, those players have played in a different league, also a big league before, at different teams before they came to Chelsea. That's not what's happening at Ajax.
Yeah.
At Ajax, you come from the youth academy basically, and you go to the first squad. You don't go to play in another league and you come back and you play at Ajax.
Okay, so maybe like Chelsea wasn't the best example, and I give you this. Maybe it was more about like the younger generation. Yeah. But take Barcelona or like even Madrid.
Yeah, but Barcelona has a legacy. Now we all think about the era with Iniesta, Xavi, all these kind of players. But look at now. Now, because they have money issues, basically, we saw a couple of Juan had to put a couple of young players in, but that's not because of choice. That's because they don't have a choice. So they have to do it. But if they have money, Barca and also Madrid will always go to buy the best players. It's true. I mean, honestly, look at Madrid, for instance. I forgot his name. What's this guy again? It's a very good player. He always comes in to play. He has a Dutch mother even. I forgot his name.
Asensio?
Asensio. Asensio is a very good player, but how many minutes does he make? He's always a bench player, almost all the time. He would easily be a comfortable first team player at a different team.
Absolutely, I agree with you. But that's the problem that I was mentioning with Paris before.
Yeah.
Is that it's always that like for a young guy coming from the academy, it's hard to have like his own space, and that's why we lost the guys that I mentioned before, like Common and Kunku. I forgot to mention him.
Exactly.
Rabiot, Leon, and those guys are extremely talented where they're playing right now. Exactly. At the same time, you want to have Neymar, Mbappe, Di Maria, Icardi, but you want to have like the academy. So in a way, that's what's contradictory one with the other. You know what I'm saying? And what you are extremely talented in Ajax, like to be able to mix with both. But I don't think that the justification behind is the time that you have because the Eredivisie is weak. It's just that you just have the tradition and that culture of like being able to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah, but that's also, Enrique, just to answer, that's also because we are forced into a position that we have to think like that. Because I also forgot to mention something else. If we would be playing in the Premier League, our salary, we would earn much more money. Our salary cap would be much higher. That means that we will not be forced to sell players. So we can keep players longer at the squad, which means that the young players will have less ability. Only the very best players can come in the squad, but a lot will be sold.
Okay,
and they don't have a chance to come and play as a young player.
So you're confirming what Enrique just asked me, that having Ajax in a different league will bring you more cash flow.
Oh, absolutely. That's not debatable. The debate is basically, from my perspective, what effect it has on young players. You know, and if we would be in a bigger league, I think it would change the identity of Ajax a little bit as a club, as a youth academy club.
I was about to ask you that. Do you think that identity of developing players would be like a turnaround, a 360-degree turnaround?
Not 360, but look, at the end of the day, every club wants to compete for prizes, you know? And if we get much more money, then we will try. I mean, if let's say we were playing in the Premier League, then we will not be able, I mean, why would we sell Frenkie de Jong? Why would we sell De Ligt? Why would we sell Ziyech, Donny van de Beek? All these kind of players. We don't need to. They can earn a lot of money. They're playing in a very good league. We would be much more competitive. But that means, and I'm talking now about the youth coming up, because we can keep players for a longer period, it will be more difficult for the young players to show themselves and have a chance to play at the first squad. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting.
All right.
Good perspective.
Thank you. So, guys, thank you so much, both of you. Mike, if we draw Inter or Paris, we will have you back on the show. Is that okay?
Absolutely. You got my word.
You don't want to draw Ajax, right? You don't want to draw Ajax.
You know, I told you, like, that was actually my introduction. When you draw Ajax, you're always a little bit nervous about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's good if we made in final.
All right, good. Enrique.
But I promise, you got my word. I'll be there.
Enrique, thanks a lot. Send me the digits of Bayardo. I will call him as well.
Okay. Nice player. Nice player.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Hey, if you ever want to talk about Pumas, I'll be glad to answer your call.
Guys, I can feel it, man. I can. You want to subscribe.